Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about learning an instrument by releasing an album. So this comes into something that I've been preaching about for quite a lot, which is learn by doing, not by studying, because you can learn so much more through the experience than through the academia, which is why I have probably a problem with the education system at large, because it emphasizes learning by studying rather than learning by doing. But that'll be a whole nother topic for another video. For now, I want to focus on you. Are you learning an instrument right now? Is that a guitar, a bass, keyboard, violin, trumpet, saxophone, glockenspiel, harmonica? Are you learning to sing? Whatever. These are all instruments that you can't learn, and they are time consuming to learn. It's going to take you years to master them, and even then you still won't feel confident, and then you'll get better and better and better, and you'll get to a point where you look at yourself 5 years ago and think, God, I was awful. But then you'll get 5 years from then and you'll look at that person 5 years ago and you think, God, I was awful, but I'm all right now. And then 5 more years will pass and you'll look at yourself then, you go, God, I was awful then, but I'm all right now. And it will continue like that for the rest of the time. Because as artists, we are always learning and evolving and trying new things, and we're never content to just stay with this one thing that we're doing for the rest of the time. We don't want to do that forever. So as we get better and better and better at something, the best way of actually improving isn't just through practice, but you can use practice in various ways. Practice doesn't have to mean sitting there learning all the chords, do A, do B, do C, etc. You can also learn by doing. So just come up with a 4-bar measure, okay, C, D, E, F, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you just play that, E, C, D, E, F, C, D, E, F. Okay, I've done that, right? So what do I do with this? Now I can lay some MIDI drums over it. How do I learn MIDI drums? Well, now I've got to do that. So I've got to figure out how I learn MIDI drums. Okay, now I figured it out. And then I put some MIDI drums under it. Bam, I've got a song. It's a very basic one. It's just C, D, E, and F, just 4 chords that make a 1, 2, 3, 4 chord progression, which isn't massively interesting with a basic MIDI drum beat under it, but you have now made that as a part of your learning process, as a way of learning chords and learning music theory. You've learned more about music theory and what sounds good and what doesn't by the experience of doing and having made this song, let's call it for now. So let's take this a step further. You want to make a song, a proper song. So that's going to involve various parts. It's going to involve various arrangements and compositional techniques and stuff like that. And then you're going to want maybe have some lyrics over it, and you maybe want a structure to the song. So you might think, okay, well, I don't want to do the old convention of the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus thing. I want to try something else. And you might often be told, well, learn to follow the rules before you learn to break them. You don't necessarily have to, because you're going to be making a load of crap anyway right at the beginning, because you don't know how to sit within the rules. So you're always going to be breaking the rules no matter what you do, because you are fundamentally at this point an outsider to this craft, because at this point you don't know how to play an instrument, or you're very amateur at it. And you can use that for an artistic expression. And the best way to do that is to break the rules rather than to stay within them and make something that's cliche or boring or has been done to death and done better by more experienced people. So, even though you might be sort of told, well, do it within the rules first before you learn to play outside the rules. If you play within the rules, you're going to make a load of crap anyway. So you might as well play outside of the rules. As long as you have a respect for the rules and you are breaking them for a reason, and not just breaking them because you feel like it or you did it by accident. Never break a rule by accident. Always break a rule with some purpose to it, right? You don't have to play the guitar perfectly. You don't necessarily even have to play it in time. That can be part of the effect that you might be going for. You don't necessarily have to record it very well. Look at the entire lo-fi genre. It all sounds like crap. None of it's mastered or mixed properly, but that's all part of it. That's all part of the appeal to people. People like it because it is unpolished and it's rough around the edges, because it feels like a genuine expression to certain people. To other people, it doesn't sound like a genuine expression. It just sounds like a load of talentless hacks just pumping out stuff that, they couldn't even be bothered to record the thing fucking properly, So it's up to the audience to interpret your art rather than for you to make the art and push your interpretation onto others, because, we're living in a world where the death of the artist has already happened, and it's up to other people what your art means rather than you. All you can do is try and guide them in the right direction, and the better an artist you are, the closer you and your audience will align on the meaning of your work. So you'll be like that rather than like that, okay? So now that you want to make this song, how do you proceed? How do you go forward? Well, let's use a guitar for now. Let's say you're learning guitar, but this all applies if you're doing keyboard as well. So, all right, I need to figure out how to play some chords. Okay, what kind of chord progressions are good sounding? So what you can do, you can find a chord progression maker on the internet. I can't remember what it's called. I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. And what you do, you can just chuck C in it, E in it, G in it, and then maybe B in it. So I don't know what that is exactly. It's 1, 3, 5, 7 or something like that. You put that in and you see what sounds good. You try different things and you try it with this because it's a nice simple way of actually putting them together, because you don't know how to play all of these chords yet. You don't even know how to do an F chord properly yet. So you might want to work around that and maybe learn a different type of F, or maybe you put an F diminished in instead because that's easier, or an F augmented because those are basically just an A minor with the third just raised slightly. You can just do stuff like that. You don't have to necessarily worry about the overall product, because you at the moment don't know how to make perfect works of art. And not that there are perfect works of art, but you don't know your own process well enough yet, and you don't know your own vision well enough yet, and you are still finding your voice. So it's better to make as much stuff as possible while you are finding your voice, rather than to try and find your voice and then speak. It's better to learn by having conversations than to learn how to speak by reading a book and then going out and giving a speech in front of 1,000 people. It's just so much easier, and then when you get to that speech, you've done it so many times before that you know what to do, you know the ropes that you need to go through, and you just do it, and you're confident in it, and you're confident in your ability, and you're confident in your ability to actually get this done, and done well, because you are assertive that you can make this work. And if you believe in yourself in that way, then you can make whatever you want. You can just make an album even though you don't know how to play any instruments. You can make a film even though you can't hold a camera. You can make these expressions, and people can either take something from them or they can't. And it's your job to just make it so that they can take something away from it and that they can get some emotional response, because that's what you want generally. You want some emotional resonance to come from the work that you have made to the people that you are making it for, your audience, your target demographic, let's say. So now you've got these tracks, you've got a bunch of tracks, you've already learned how to do MIDI, so that was fine, that was easy. And now you've put some chords together and you've done a couple variations on it. So now you've got that and that together. So now you might want to put a lead line on it. A lead line is basically a melody. It's basically something that goes on top of the da 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 da, and then on top of that I could go da da wow da da wow 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 da da wow wow. Those two probably wouldn't work together, but you figure out what works together, what doesn't work together, because you want to have some harmonic, not necessarily harmonic complexity, but harmonic interest to your work. If you just have dun 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 with no variation, with no new things coming on top of it, with no progression or adventure to the song, then people are going to get bored by it and they're going to turn off. And you don't want your audience to be bored. You want them to be intrigued, even if it's in a way of, Jesus Christ, what the hell is this? You know Corey Bloody Feldman's Angelic to the Core? What a load of crap that is, but I love it. I love how much of a pile of crap it is, because it's so interesting. It's almost like outsider art, and you can do that as well. And that's what it's going to be like at first. But if you just keep grinding at it and pumping at this, creative thought process that you keep sinking yourself into, you will get better at it over time and over time. And the first album that I made was called the Morrison Royalty Free Suite Volume 1. And it was basically me learning how to play the keyboard. So I did an album and it sounds awful and it's terrible and I've disowned the project, but it's still something I made, and I can only be proud of the fact that I did do it, because it led to Volume 2, which is slightly better, and then Volume 3, which is slightly better. We're still not good yet. Then Volume 4, and then Volume 5, and then finally Volume 6, I start to feel semi-comfortable with it, and then Volume 7, it's a bit better, and then Volume 8 is the first one that's got songs on it I'm actually proud of, and then Volume 9 comes along, and then Volume 10, and then by the time I'm at Volume 10, I'm I'm comfortable with myself. I've found my voice, I've found what my music is and who it's for and why it should exist. And I've carved out that space for myself. I've found my voice and I'm using it to the fullest extent and I'm enjoying that. And now I'm moving past the royalty-free suite and actually working on a real album, which is called Decisions in Another Language, because I only learned how to play all these instruments, 2 instruments, bass and guitar, which is basically 1 instrument, guitar. The only reason I learned how to do that was by creating. If I'd done it by studying, I would have not made anything whatsoever. And that's just my process. Other people might have different processes. Maybe this won't work for you. Maybe you can't learn an instrument by releasing an album. Maybe you can. You won't know until you try. And I encourage you to try. Thank you so much for watching this. And have a great rest of the day. And play some fucking music, man. Have a good one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. It looks fucking miserable back there, doesn't it? And this is muddy. This is really muddy. Can you hear that? Really squelchy. But I kind of walk around, so there's a bit of grass that's just off the camera I can walk on that's not muddy at all. I don't know why this bit's so muddy. It's like God just decided to just rain on this specific area. Or really, someone's chucked a bucket of water on it, hasn't they? Probably. Anyway, bye-bye. Thanks for watching us up there, and 2 videos here. Click them, or else. Nah, I'll probably cut that bit. Don't want to threaten my audience. Or maybe I've kept it in and kept this bit in as well. Meta. Hate all that meta shit.